There was a boy in her room. Cath looked up at the number painted on the door, then down at the room assignment in her hand. Pound Hall, 913. Is that going to be you in a few short weeks? Or maybe it was you last week. A new freshman university student moving into their dorms for the first time. Well, does Cath have the advice for you? Fangirl, since I was in middle school, has been one of my favorite books. It's a book I reread every Christmas. So I, as a college sophomore about to move into her dorm in just a week, I'm going to give all the college freshmen some advice based off of Cath's first year of college. Let's get started. Tip number 1, do unpack early. Cath finishes unpacking her room her very first night. And while I've never seen anyone unpack their room by themselves and finish setting everything up within a couple hours, getting it done as soon as you can is the best thing you can do. The sooner you get your room unpacked, the sooner you'll feel like you're at home, and the sooner you can relax and not have to worry about whether or not you can invite people over or whether or not you can go out tonight. Plus, as soon as classes start, you'll need somewhere to relax, and a bunch of packed boxes is not the way to do it. However, number 2, don't stay in the dorm the whole time. As soon as Cath starts going out, she starts to have more fun. She meets people, both bad and good, but overall, the quality of her life really goes up. Number 3, do branch out. Just because your twin sister isn't going to be your roommate that year, don't be afraid to go meet people, including your roommate, but including other people, like people from your creative writing class, people you sit across from the library, or go up to someone and compliment their t-shirt, just like someone does to Cath's carry-on t-shirt. But number 4, don't let an upperclassman take advantage of you. There'll be plenty there willing to help you and be your friend in your first year, but watch out for the ones that have a little darker intentions in mind. It sucks, but it does happen. Just like it happened to Cath in her higher level fiction writing classes. However, do make sure and call home. Your parents are going to miss you, your siblings are going to miss you, your pets are going to miss you. So even though your parents may not be leaving a voicemail saying that they want to put in a fireman pole into your bathroom, be sure to give them a call every once in a while. Number 6, don't feel like you have to be involved in everything. Now, Cath certainly has no problems with that, but there are 1,000,001 fun activities for you to do in college, and you don't have time for them all. So pick and choose what you want to do most. Do keep a snack trove in your room, but don't be afraid to eat from the cafeteria. But just because everything she ate for her first week were protein bars doesn't mean you should as well. And there are plenty of good options, surprisingly enough, that you can find in a cafeteria. It's really not as scary as you think it is. Do make sure and contact your professors anytime that you need help or if there's a family emergency going on. I wouldn't have gone through my first semester without asking for extensions on all my assignments for about a week, after a terrible migraine left me in bed for 2 days without being able to do anything. But all my professors were more than willing to help, and they're less scary than you think they are. However, don't wait until the last second to finish your final project. Typically, like in Cath's creative writing class, they'll announce it way ahead of time. And often you can find on the syllabus what exactly the final project is and what it might entail. So keep an eye on it, plan it out early if you can, and just don't wait till the last second. Working on final projects early is the perfect way to try to alleviate your final exam stress season. Do make sure to reach out to campus resources and a therapist if you ever need any help. If you're having issues with a professor, other students, or your own mental health, they're there for a reason, so be sure to reach out to them. And don't be afraid to talk to your roommate. You and your roommate are in the same boat, or the same room. So getting to know your roommate and being able to work with them and talk to them is a very important step in starting your freshman year. Now, this is going to be a little controversial, but do bring more than you expect. When Cath arrived at college, she let Ren take all of the things that said party, and Cath took all the things that said, I'll be up studying or writing till 2 a.m. And now, that might have been what she expected. But later on, when she didn't want to go to a party, she was left scrambling through her closet trying to figure out what exactly she had left to wear. Now, you may have limited space to store things in your college dorm, but college is also the time you experiment. I know for myself, I wore a lot more dresses and skirts in university than I ever thought I would wear when I was packing. So making sure and bringing things that you could possibly need. Like if you have an interview coming up, you need clothes for that. If you're working in the lab and you need something that's not going to get totally messed up, you gotta make sure you have that. If you're working in the theater crew, you need something you can get paint on. If you're building a giant glittery mess like that, you need something you can put in the wash pretty quickly because that glitter's not gonna go anywhere. I'm serious, I found glitter after I moved home and I built that Easter weekend. But you never know what kind of thing you'll get into. I know at least for my first semester, I was going to university 2,000 miles away from my parents and I wasn't allowed to leave for the entirety of the first semester. So making sure I had everything I could possibly need was a high priority. Don't feel like you have to meet all of your neighbors. Cath has got that down pretty well. Their door is one of the only closed doors on the hallway, and I'm not advertising for you to ignore all of your neighbors, but just because they're your neighbors doesn't mean you have to hang out with them all the time. Try to meet new people wherever you can meet them. However, I'm moving in next week into a dorm house with all my best friends next week, and I'm really excited for that. Do be mindful of the squirrels. As Cath says, the squirrels on campus are practically domestic, and they will come right up to you and try to get food. You can't feed them, but they'll get enough food from the trash cans themselves. They are almost rats, but they're not. They're cuter, but they will root around the trash cans. If you ever hear something rummaging inside, it's probably a squirrel. The squirrels on campus, they will be the fattest squirrels you've ever seen. They gorged themselves on the food. It was so funny seeing them, but they will be the roundest squirrels you will ever see. Don't be afraid to take high-level classes your freshman year. Just like Cath does with her creative writing class, all she had to do was ask, and quite often enough, they'll let you in. I took differential equations my second semester. Honestly, I think it's one of my favorite classes I've ever taken. However, I didn't really let my classmates know that I was the only freshman in that class. But my professor knew. Even though he was a little confused why I was taking it, he told me I had all the recs, so why not? Do look out for others. Cath, even when trying to avoid people, she always answers Ren's 911 phone calls, and she helps Levi read the entirety of The Outsiders as final exam season's coming up. When you're in college, you might get stressed on your own issues, but you gotta remember it's a two-way street. In college, you start to form a social sphere. When you need help, they'll help you. When they need help, you'll help them. Make sure and you look out for each other. Don't let things from high school hold you back. A couple times throughout Fangirl, Cath looks back and compares times from high school and from university together. She gets dumped by Abel, but quite honestly, she's not entirely sure that she cares. She looks at Ren and her relationship and how it used to be better in high school, but just because things are different from high school doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You're your own person now, and you can go explore as much as you want to. Do know that it's okay to take a break from campus. When things get hard, Cath goes home sometimes, and that's plenty okay to do. Cath needs a break when Cath needs to be anywhere else. She goes home and she writes and hangs out with her father. And that's perfectly okay to do. Not only is that perfectly okay, it's super necessary. You need to find somewhere that's going to be your own space. Whether that's home or whether that's a coffee shop off campus, you need to be able to know that you can go there when you need to. Don't be afraid to give someone some distance. After Nick steals the story that he and Cath worked on together, Cath is perfectly okay with stepping back and giving him some space. And when Ren drunk dials her and makes fun of her, Cath is perfectly okay with giving her space. And it's okay to be able to step back and not feel like you have to be there for someone to emotionally rely on. Because if the relationship isn't reciprocating, and if they're treating you bad, you need to be able to stand up for yourself and take a step back to reevaluate what exactly this relationship is. But a little cheesy, but do stay true to yourself. Cath, throughout her entire first year, through the good and the bad, she stays true and she writes her Simon Snow novel. Even when some people don't really understand what's happening. It's important to her, and even if her roommate's making fun of her posters, or her twin sister isn't supporting it anymore, Simon knows what she loves. And that's not to say she does not grow at all as a person in college, because she most certainly does. She doesn't feel like she has to leave behind her own interests just because others might think it's childish. But now, don't give up on yourself. That's exactly what Cath does in her creative writing class after she's hit to her lowest of lows. But she builds herself up, and she makes a promise to her professor that she will write her final story, and she'll turn it in by the end of the next semester. Making sure that you don't give up on yourself is one of the most important things you can carry on to college this year. Things will get tough, and that's to be expected. That doesn't mean you can just sit down and let it consume you. You can pull yourself back up and fight out whatever it is. No. Bonus. The most important lesson we can possibly learn from Cath is that we all need an emergency dance party every once in a while. So if you don't have your emergency dance party music already prepped, get it prepped. You'll need it to hype yourself up if you've had a bad day. You'll need it to hype yourself up if you need a city. And you'll need it to celebrate with. Fangirl. So once again, one of my favorite books. I love it dearly. The third Carry On book just released and I need to get my hands on it. But if you want to pick up Fangirl yourself or any of the Carry On books, I'll leave a link to them in the description below. I think I've probably... How many times? I think I've probably read Fangirl at least 6 times. It's just a good read. This is a well-loved book. It's come with me on 4 different moves. I got when I lived in Canada, and I moved to the Middle East, then moved back to the US, and then I moved to Pennsylvania. And this hasn't come with me to college because I read it every Christmas. But it will come with me this semester because I'll probably read it when I'm in my dorm this year. Leave a comment down below for what you're looking most forward to. COVID is still hitting us hard, and I still encourage you all to be careful and safe. If you're on a campus like mine, we're all fully vaxxed, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. I'm gonna basically get to go live a fully vaxxed resort and study for the next 6 months. I'm looking forward to that and all my classes. Regardless of where you are or what you're doing this semester, I hope you have a great end of your 2021. We're already halfway through. And good luck to all the college freshmen out there. Bye!